Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. Welcome to our newsroom for today. For tonight's headlines, we have arrival of the aid at Mogadishu Airport for Somali. For the international scene, the Europhobe Nigel Farage calls for an alliance of Brexit. Welcome to our newsroom. The 36th Ministerial Conference of the Francophonie held in Monaco on 30 and 20 October 2019 declared its support for the Republic of Djibouti's candidacy for the post of a non-permanent member of United Nations Security Council for the period 2020-2020. 21-22 during the elections to the held in New York in 2020. After its departure from Djibouti, the cargo plane 700 of the national airlines Air Djibouti has just landed at the airport of Mogadishu today in the late afternoon. This cargo ship that carries a significant amount of humanitarian aid for the disaster-stricken families of the Shebele region. This humanitarian aid, which is the second size, consists of the medicines, supplies, and food for the needy in the suburb of the Beledweyne. The headquarters of the Hiran region is Hamza Saeed Hamza, who is the Somali Minister of Emergency Relief in the Natural Disasters and the member of the Relief Committee appointed by President Farmajo, thanked the government and people of Djibouti for this assistance. The Minister of Transport and Equipment, Musa Mohammed Ahmed, has received in his office the Egyptian ambassador accredited to Djibouti, Dr. Mohammed Mustafa Orfi. The objective of this meeting was, above all, a courtesy and first contact visit, but also to discuss the areas of cooperation that exist between the Republic of Djibouti and the Republic of Egypt. During this meeting, the minister stressed the importance of cooperation between Djibouti and Egypt in the field of transport, the need to strengthen cooperation with Egypt, which is a long-standing sister country. The minister reaffirmed the interest of the Djibouti government in strengthening cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and the Republic of Egypt, and his department will work hard to collaborate with the Egyptian side. The Minister of Communication in charge of Post and Telecommunication is currently traveling to Conakry, Guinea, to take part in the second meetings of the Smart Africa Alliance. 27 ministers. This very high-level meeting saw the effective and fruitful participation of decision makers, including ministers in charge of telecommunication, ICTs of Smart Africa Alliance member countries, regulators, and international organizations. In this mission, the minister is accompanied by the director of the ICT development of his department, Mr. Faisal Khair Shirdon. The creations of these body councils of the ministers in charge of ICT within the Smart Africa Secretariat is justified by the need to harmonize countries' positions on legal and regulatory issues in order to accelerate the formalization and implementation of regional continental projects and programs. The Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, His Excellency Yonis Ali Gedi, participated yesterday, Thursday, November 31, in the plenary sessions of the Second General Assembly of this International Solar Alliance held at Ashok Hotels in New Delhi, India. Some 400 delegates from ESA member countries took part in these discussions. On the agenda items, in particular, the assessment of and prospect of this organization, but also the amendments submitted by the Standing Committee during the meeting of the focal points. The Assembly is the supreme decision-making bodies of the 154 and provides guidance on various administrative, financial, and programmatic matters. India's Ministers of New and Renewable Energy Singh is the president of ISA Assembly. Bruni Posen, Ministers of State for Ecological and Inclusive Transition. France is co-preside the Assembly. The President of ISA Assembly pointed out among the amendments to be adopted that the election for the post of Director General of this alliance was open to all candidates proposed by his country before being validated by the Standing Committee. The Minister of Women and Family, His Excellency Ms. Momin Ahmed Hassan, attended from October 31 to November 1, 2019 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the meetings of ministers in charge of gender, African Union member state on the 4 sessions of the Specialized Committee on Gender and the Empowerment of Women. This meeting under the theme Realizing Women's Right for an Equal Opportunity Future was organized by the Women's Genders and Development Directorate of the African Union Commission in partnership with the United Nations Economic Commission and UN Women. The purpose of this meeting is to prepare the 64 sessions of the Commissions of Status on Women scheduled for March 2020 in New York by having the ministers of the African Union member states adopt the political declarations on the implementation of the Beijing plus 24 platforms for actions prepared by the expert. The meeting was attended by 15 member states, a representative of the Regional Economic Community, BCA, the Director of the Poverty and Social Policy Division is ECA, the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. The Pan-African Parliament organized the International Conference on Parliament and Challenges on Food and Security at the headquarters of the House of Councillors in Rabat, Morocco, from 23 October to the 1st November 2019. This session was chaired by the President of the Pan-African Parliament, Honorable Roger Koba Dong, and was attended by representatives of National Parliament and Regional International Parliamentary Assembly. Our countries was represented by Honorable Mahmoud Mustafa, Member of the Parliament for the Pan-African Parliament. This international conference is a part of the implementation of the conclusions and recommendations of the Arab-African Economic Parliamentary Forum of April 2018. The National Forum on Opportunity, the African Continental Free Trade Area for the Republic of Djibouti, closed last Wednesday at the People's Palace, organized by the Djibouti Ministry of Commerce. The objective of this two-day seminar was not only to popularize the ins and outs of the zone, but also to lay the foundations for a harmonious national integration strategy with this African free trade area. Although the has been ratified by 28 African countries, it is also signed by all 54 states on the continent. According to the expert, with African countries will succeed in creating a common market of more than 200 million people. This closing ceremony of this seminar was presided over by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Commerce, Mr. Ali Dawood, in the presence of the representative of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Dr. Suleiman Abdallah. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Labor in charge of administration reform, Abdallah Ali Mohammed, closed the work of a training sessions on ethics and deontology in Arabic and at INAP. This seminar is part of the administration's reform. It consists in strengthening the capacity of public administration officials aimed at some 30 Arab executives in the administration. This training, which began on Sundays, October 27, was led by an expert from the Arab Academy. Under the aegis of the State Secretary for Youth and Sport, the Djibouti Federation of Takaitoriu closed this morning in the multipurpose room of the Goulet Stadium a technical training sessions given by Melanie Shosa, a rich and very practical training service which lasted a week, brought together all lovers of this martial art in our countries, especially those of the capitals and the interior region. It must be said that this national sports, beyond being a martial art, is a way of life and attract more and more followers. This beautiful ceremony took place in the presence of the president of Takaitoriu Federation, Ms. Madina Salah Ali, the director of the National Sport Training Institute, Saeed Ali Hussein, the executive committee, and the members of the federation. After some demonstration techniques performed by the trainees, the certification ceremony began. This certificate will undoubtedly open the doors for their success. Also, as part of the outreach towards the prefect of the United Region, Mr. Aden Darar Musa, visited Gorabus in the Yoboki district yesterday. The prefect of Dakhil Aden Musa Darar was accompanied by his close collaborators, two parliamentarians from the region, Mr. Muhammad Musa Osa and Mr. Jama Gedi Aden, the president of the region's council, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunus Are, the deputy prefect of Yoboki, Adu Sanalase Udum, the chief medical officers of the region, Dr. Hamad Ali Rufa, as well as the head of the regional education office, Mr. Umar Warsama, the prefect of the United Region, and the delegation's first visit the health post in the locality of where the chief medical officers of the regions briefly present the state and functionings of this health structure. For his part, the prefect of the region, Mr. Aden Darar Musa, in his intervention first called on the traditional chiefs to consolidate social cohesion and security, and then assured the participants to take the necessary steps to submit their grievance to the government in order to remedy them. For the international scene, the European Nigel Farage challenges British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Friday to abandon his Brexit agreement, negotiate with Brussels to form an alliance with him for the December legislative elections, backed by Donald Trump's strong support for a union of the Leave camp. Boris Johnson, who is counting on the early elections on 12 December to regain a majority, has embarked on the campaigns as the one that will finally implement the exit of the European Union, which reached an impasse 3.5 years after the 2016 referendums of figures of the Leaves camp in 2016. Nigel Farage responded with a burst of energy, inviting Donald Trump on Thursdays for his daily broadcast on AM radio. The American president was quick to criticize Boris Johnson's Brexit agreement and call for a Johnson-Farage alliance for the elections. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.